Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Jaydeep Bey, roll number 2501501 from section G. And today I'll be presenting my analysis on digital public infrastructure as India's economic growth engine. So let's start with this. Imagine a country where 1.4 billion people can open a bank account, receive government benefits, and make instant payments all through a smartphone, right? And this is not just a vision, this is India today. And I'm going to walk you through how this digital public infrastructure or DPI has become the single most powerful economic growth engine that India has built in the last decade. So let's first understand what DPI actually is, all right? Because the economics here is fascinating. DPI is a foundational digital systems, that is identity, payments, and data exchange, that work for population scale, right? Now, think of it as the roads and electricity of the digital economy. Now, if you think about it through an economics perspective, DPI has the properties of public good. It is non excludable, meaning no one can be barred from using it, and non rival, meaning if I'm using it, it does not reduce your ability to use it. Now, India's DPI stack has three main pillars: Aadhaar for the biometric identity, UPI for the payments, and ONDC for open commerce. And here's where it gets interesting. These platforms exhibit powerful network externalities. What this essentially means is the more people use UPI, the more valuable it becomes for everyone. And it's a positive feedback loop, right? And from a platform economics, UPI is a classic multi-sided market connecting users, businesses, and government, generating huge economies of scale. Now let's look at the numbers. DPI has, as you can see, reduced transaction cost, that is search cost, negotiation cost, enforcement cost by 50 to 70%. See, when you lower the cost of doing business, markets work better, obviously, and more people participate. The result is what? You can see annual savings of over $15 billion, right? So now let's look at it from another angle, that is the financial inclusion. Now, DPI dramatically reduces information asymmetry. What that means, simply put, is that lenders previously had no way to assess the creditworthiness of a street vendor or a farmer, right? Now, with the digital payment trail, that data exists, and over 500 million new bank accounts have been opened. 80% of Indian adults now have formal financial access. Not only this much, there's more. Digital payment trails have expanded the tax base by 25%. That added to $50 billion in revenue, obviously, and contributed 1.5% to GDP, all through formalization of the economy and improved allocative efficiency, where resources flow to where they're most productive. Moving ahead, why the government have to build this? Why the government had to act as enabler? This is where market failure comes in. See, private firms would never invest in this infrastructure because the benefits spill over to everyone. That's what economists call a positive externality. So the government stepped in as the enabler, and the result is a multiplier effect of 2.5 to 3.5 times. Every rupee of public investment has unlocked over $100 billion in private sector innovation on top of these public rails. Institutional economics guided the regulatory design, that is ensuring open APIs, interoperability, and consent-based data sharing. But, and this is important, no, analysis is complete without the critical review, right? It is not complete. So centralized data creates negative externalities. Privacy risks, surveillance concerns, identity theft. The DPDP Act of 2023 is definitely a step forward, but the implementation is still ongoing. Cybersecurity risk represents systemic risk, that is, where one breach in the centralized system can cascade across the entire economy. So, and perhaps most critically, the distributional effects. See, while urban penetration is at 75%, rural connectivity sits at just 45%. Over 500 million Indians' main offline. So if DPI only benefits the connected, it deepens inequality rather than reducing it. All right, this is the big picture over here, the final one. So, see, DPI is not just a tech upgrade, it is a structural reform, a fundamental rewiring of India's economic architecture. It reduces transaction costs, corrects market failures, generates multiplier effects, and positions India as a global model. With over 30 countries already exploring this framework and a potential global economic impact of over $1 trillion by the year 2030. So, the challenge, as always, is to maintain balance, obviously, but whether it is to balance innovation with inclusion or efficiency with equity. DPI has given India a historic opportunity. The question is not whether it works, because as you can see, the data proves it does, but the question is, can we make it work for everyone? That is the policy challenge of our generation. So that's all from my side. Thank you.